Reading tea leaves can predict the future. Does reading coffee predict the past? Is Pikachu a demon? Answers to these questions and more on this episode of This Paranormal Life! Whoa! Welcome back to This Paranormal Life. This is the weekly comedy podcast where every Tuesday we dive into a different paranormal case, deciding by the end of the episode whether we think it's really paranormal or not.
Yeah.
As always, you're joined by me, Kit Mulvenna, and this guy sitting across from me, Mr. Rory Magic Powers.
That's right. Can coffee predict the future? Yes, because if I drink enough cups in the morning, I know I'm probably going to shit myself.
All right, that's quite enough. Also, that's TMI. Also, I said specifically, could it predict the past?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so. Not that I know of.
I know it doesn't really make any sense, but it sounded like a cool sentence in the heat of the moment.
Right. I don't need liquids to predict my future. All right? I don't need it. I just need them to help me with the now.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're leaning on alcohol specifically.
No. I'm not talking about alcohol.
Deal with the pain. Is that right, Rory? All right, this is an intervention.
Can drinks make me forget the past? If they can't change it, can they at least make me forget it? That would be really helpful.
But Rory, thank God, on every episode of This Paranormal Life, we come to the table, this literal podcasting table, with a proper paranormal investigation on our hands. Today is no different. And Rory, today's episode comes courtesy of a listener email.
Wow. Long time since we've had a listener submission.
Not because we don't get emails, we get tons of email. Just because we don't always pick to do that.
Yes.
We're not losers. We don't get no mail.
We usually just hit respond all and type out F off. But sometimes an email will slip through the cracks.
Right. I'll be going to delete my junk folder, then there's something half decent in there.
What's this?
This one.
F off.
Well, we shouldn't be saying F off because this comes from a beloved listener.
Oh!
Casey Carboni.
Go F yourself,
No.
Casey. No, I insist.
Casey is
How'd you get through my firewall?
Because we like Casey and we've worked with Casey.
We do actually, yeah.
Yes. Casey is a longtime listener of This Paranormal Life and collaborator in terms of Casey has made a lot of amazing animations to do with This Paranormal Life. You could check out their work on YouTube.
Yeah.
Casey writes, "Hey y'all, been loving the new episodes. I've never sent a suggestion in before, but I just saw Late Night with the Devil and it brought back all my old memories of the creepy and sometimes hilarious antics of the Satanic Panic. So I'm suggesting it as an episode." Thank you for writing, Casey. Always great to hear from Casey. I thought, what a tremendous idea. This is something we've talked, I guess, around a lot, but never really specifically about on the podcast.
Yeah. And a reminder, if you listen to this podcast and you have your own suggestions or paranormal cases, go yourself.
No.
Because we are full. We've been doing this podcast for 7 years. You don't think we've heard every story.
I can see that this email was marked important, probably by you.
Oh, right. No, I do remember marking this one as important. Yeah.
You marked it important and you said off. It's so confused, I feel like.
No, this is amazing. We love getting listener submissions. It's always great. And I love this topic of conversation. We know a little bit about the Satanic Panic, but we've never covered it on a podcast before.
Rory, you probably know kind of a similar level that I did going into researching this a bit more, but the Satanic Panic is, of course, an umbrella term for this kind of weird period that started in the late 70s and 80s, where everyone started to panic that secret satanic organizations were controlling society, as well as torturing, abusing, and ritually sacrificing people.
Ooh, okay. Didn't know all of that, actually.
We're going to hear all about it and going to see how, in many ways, the Satanic Panic never stopped and has continued to this very day. Right after a couple of words from today's sponsors and a reminder that every episode of this podcast is available ad-free right now. Patreon.com/This Paranormal Life. The link is in the description of this show. But Rory, was the world really overrun with toddler-eating Satanists? Or was something else happening? Trying to pin down exactly when the Satanic Panic began is difficult, but we actually covered a pivotal moment in the Satanic Panic on this podcast already.
So, did I black out for a second? Did you say eating babies? We went to an ad break, and then we came back, and you mentioned eating babies, and I'm worrying I missed something at the beginning of the podcast. Because you kind of threw it in like we were halfway through a sentence.
Rory, I need you to understand what Satanists do, all right? Because there is going to be a lot of baby eating going on in the next 45 to 50 minutes, and I need you to be prepared for it. It's not pretty.
Okay, that's good to know.
We talked about the film The Exorcist. Do you remember?
Yes, we covered it on this podcast before. Something that sparked a lot of fear in parents at the time, let me tell you.
Parents and just about everybody. When The Exorcist opened in cinemas in 1973, they might as well have declared a state of emergency. If you listen to that episode, you'll know that people queued up all around America and Canada on Christmas of 73 to see The Exorcist. But many had to be carried out on stretchers and wheelchairs because people were so shaken by what they had seen. One manager at the Toronto University Theatre Cinema was quoted as saying, "We have a plumber practically living here now because so many people were projectile vomiting after seeing the movie that their sinks were constantly blocked."
Oh my God.
One viewer said after watching the movie, quote, "I woke up at 3 a.m. for 6 months straight. Every night I could see shadow figures in the corner of my eyes. All my senses would hone in on one part of my room."
Right.
People were shooketh.
Yeah. Look, it was a bit of a different time. You know, in the 1970s, that doesn't feel like that long ago, but this was really when entertainment was starting to dip seriously into the macabre, I would say. We're talking about violent video games, violent movies, things like Dungeons and Dragons, Satanism, all this kind of scary stuff was entering pop culture. And at the time, a lot of the people who were going to see this stuff in the movies, they hadn't really seen a film like this before. They hadn't seen little girls turning into demons and their heads rotating 120 degrees. You know, nowadays, we're maybe a little desensitized to that kind of violence. You know, when I was 15 years old, I got a copy of Grand Theft Auto, and within 20 minutes, I was getting my dick sucked in an by a prostitute.
Your conversation with your careers advisor the next day at school went a little different. I'm willing to bet.
So we had this stuff in our lives from a very young age, whereas people really weren't as used to it at this time, I would think.
Yeah, it was an innocent time. You know, up to this point in time, we'd had, you know, let's say hit songs would be things like the Beatles' "I Wanna Hold Your Hand."
Yeah.
In the 70s, someone wrote a song called "I Don't Wanna Hold Your Hand."
And people were freaking out.
People were like throwing up in the street going,
yeah.
You know, up to that point, video games, all they had was Pong. Oh, dunk, dunk, playing digital table tennis. Then the game developers were like, what if we gave Pong a gun?
Right.
It was just, like, everything was twisted into the darkness.
Yeah, someone created Pac-Man. And they were like, a man being chased by ghosts in a digital dungeon? This will scar children for life. Doesn't matter how many cherries and fruit you put in the dungeon. It's still scary. Listen to him scream, waka, waka, waka. He's running for his life, damn it.
This is Werner Herzog talking about Pac-Man. And then he screams into the abyss. Quack, quack. We are being a bit glib, making a bit of fun out of the whole situation. But I have told my favorite example of this is the original Dracula movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula. When it came out, originally, I believe the British kind of film standards authority who would rate the movies, I think it was them at the time, they were like, Dracula should never be shown to anyone.
It's unrateable.
It will psychically damage anyone who sees it. It should be locked in a vault for eternity. That movie today is a 12A, which means if there's an adult nearby, a 12-year-old can comfortably watch it.
Yeah, I've seen episodes of SpongeBob that are scarier than some of these old-timey movies.
To be honest, now when I go to the movies, I'm shocked by what they're allowed to show.
Right.
Like we went to see Longlegs recently. That shit was a 15. There was a 15. Back in the day, I remember, I think Mission Impossible 2 was a 15. Bro, and it was like, and it was like sneaking into Area 51
Kid
to go see that shit.
Nightmares after that.
Bro, there was like armed guards at the door to the cinema. We had to sneak in. Shit was so hard. And there was nothing in that movie.
After Kit saw that movie, his impossible mission was not to piss himself every night with nightmares. This is true, though.
Yeah.
You want to know how much things have changed? I had to be escorted by my mum to go see Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man because I wasn't old enough. It was like a
crazy.
12. Yeah.
Whereas, horror movies would up today and they're not even 18s.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Look, The Exorcist was, of course, a box office success, but Middle America was deeply worried about the satanic and devilish content of the movie. The movie was straight up banned in lots of places, and it was rumoured the film was full of satanic subliminal messaging. This is essentially why the Satanic Panic kicked off, because at this moment in time, people couldn't get enough of dark, horror-inspired entertainment, and that led conservative people to believe that real paranormal messages were being hidden or encoded into that entertainment.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say that I haven't been influenced at any point through subliminal messages, because I am still a grown man that plays Pokemon Go. So I think they got me pretty
Whether
good.
it's subliminal or not, they got your ass.
Yeah, they got me a little too good.
Yeah.
They're like, we need to start putting some messages in this kid's head to tell him it's fine now to give it up.
But that was the idea, was that you would watch a seemingly innocuous TV show and then it would flash up in a millisecond format.
Yeah.
Drink Coca-Cola.
Diet Coke.
Yeah. And then you would just, later that day, would you become like a voodoo zombie, be like, oh, must drink Coke. Like it would overpower you through some Freudian psychology.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was that Satanists were doing that to mind control young people. But if Satanists had already taken over movies, they weren't going to stop there, because the 70s and 80s were also the dawn of heavy metal.
Oh boy, here we go.
You're starting to see how this whole era shook out.
Right.
Up until now, the most satanic thing that had ever happened in the music world was Elvis thrusting on stage. If you remember, we talked about it in your episode all about Elvis. It actually got him shut down in the Bible Belt of America.
Yes.
One sheriff even declaring a wiggle ban.
Yeah, this was a bonus episode that we did.
Oh, shit, okay.
Claiming that Elvis Presley is actually still alive and that he never died. Interesting that you do want to bring it up, because you shit all over it at the time. I think you weren't really into it.
I think that premise, everyone can agree, is a bit laughable.
Despite some very accurate Elvis impressions delivered by yours truly, I think they were quite remarkable.
Were they? Can we get a sample here on the main episode?
You sure can, baby mama.
Okay, that's disturbing. This is the poor man's Austin Butler. This is Austin Butler's butler. But now, out of nowhere, with bands like Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, you had people dressing entirely in black leather and literally singing about worshipping the Dark Lord.
Yeah, that's not very subliminal.
We've completely...
That's straight up liminal.
Straight past subliminal, just into f***ing sick, I think is how you would classify it. To make matters worse, the people who liked heavy metal music, kind of more than anyone, was pretty much children and teenagers. So not only are the Satanists talking about the devil, but they're literally controlling the minds of the youth, turning them into little badass demons. I will say, it didn't help the day that Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off a bat.
Yeah, I never knew whether or not that was a rumor or that was a real thing. He did that?
100% real.
That's bad. I don't like it.
He did it in a photo shoot, I'm pretty sure. I think there's photos of it. Yeah.
They allowed it to happen?
No one really allowed anything. He just did it, There's just no going back after that. I think it's also one of those things that there's not really, especially back then, that wasn't a specific law.
It should have been. It really should. Because at that point, no one realized they had to make a law around something like that. That's crazy. Also provides us with an interesting opening question for the podcast. If a human bites a vampire bat, does the bat become human?
I think you just get tetanus or hepatitis C.
Right. That's not paranormal. That's just sad.
And this is not just me saying this or trying to make a storyline. In 1985, the Parents Music Resource Center of America, which was run by Al Gore's wife, Tipper, made a list of songs called The Filthy 15.
Don't make the list sound so sexy.
50.
If this is a list of musicians that should be banned from the internet, don't call it like the 6 or the Filthy 5. You know, that's a bad... If anything, these are going to be a list of bands I want to listen to more than anything.
15 songs, so debauched and perverted, filled with sex, drugs, violence, and the occult, that they use them to try and change the laws on album ratings.
Never have I wanted to listen to music like this more in my life.
Rory, do you want to know what songs made the filthy 15? This is even better than the Billboard Top 100.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, well, thankfully and helpfully, someone has collated the filthy 15 into a handy Spotify playlist, so you can listen to them all in one convenient place on your run. So I will say, bit of a giveaway to how successfully these songs were censored. They are all available on the streaming platform Spotify right now.
Right.
First up, we've got Eat Me Alive by Judas Priest, Bastard by Motley Crue, Let Me Put My Love Into Ya by AC/DC, We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister, which I don't think that's even...
Yeah, that's a very... They don't even
It's like a
curse
mildly
in it.
motivational kind of, F the man kind of attitude, I guess. Dress You Up by Madonna. Even Madonna was getting slapped with the ban. Fair enough. Animal brackets Like a Beast by Wasp.
All right, you belong on the list. Some of these don't belong on the list, but you do.
Trashed by Black Sabbath, Possessed by Venom, and then confusingly, finally, She Bop by Cyndi Lauper.
Huh.
So, out of a list of 15, most of them are metal.
Right.
Some of them feel like they caught a stray, like Madonna and Cyndi Lauper. But it definitely harks back to what feels like a strange time. It feels like we don't really try to ban that much anymore, thankfully, in this part of the world.
Yeah.
I feel like the last time this happened was, do you remember Tyler, the Creator, got banned from the UK? Theresa May banned him.
No.
Like, as in physically, not even his music, he couldn't come to
Why?
the UK. It really goes to show, I guess this stuff does still happen, because someone just printed out his lyrics, I guess, and showed them to the Prime Minister of England, of the UK. And like, fair enough, some of his older lyrics are like have like shock value.
Sure. He might have said on one occasion that we should like a beast. Sure. Who hasn't said that before?
They're like, we can handle that. But he said, we're not gonna take it in verse 2, which is absolutely out of line. But he was like, I wrote it from the perspective of a character. Are you stupid? This is like art and poetry and lyrics you're describing. You can't like are you gonna watch the latest horror movie from M. Night Shyamalan? I'll be like, this guy's mind is twisted. A beach that makes people old? Banned immediately from the UK.
I would love it if he was like, look, it's a character. You need to understand it's not really me. And they're like, Your Honor, please read back the words from the song. This ain't a character. This ain't a character. This is me for real. I'm going to bomb Westminster.
That was the character.
That was the character saying that it wasn't
Guy
a character.
Fawkes.
Yeah, exactly. You went on to say in the song, remember the 5th of November, 2024. Yeah, because the character might do something again if someone gets in his way.
But the funny thing about the Satanic Panic is that looking back, a lot of it does seem kind of ridiculous. Like, now everyone is used to these songs. They're not shocking. Like,
Yeah.
the idea of a Prince song being on the Filthy 15 and being like banned because it would poison children's minds or whatever seems laughable.
Yeah. As I said, we've come a long way. We've come a long way since the Filthy 15.
So, while a lot of it seems silly, actually some of the events of the 80s and 90s do still stand out as being potentially satanic.
All right, this is what I want to hear, because it's fun to just talk about Satanic Panic and laugh about it, but we're here to actually investigate paranormal phenomena on this podcast. So hey, let's not just laugh about it and criticize it. We need to see if there is actually any cases that are valid from history.
Well, as heavy metal matured over the 80s, it became more extreme, developing styles such as death metal, grindcore, and black metal. And black metal specifically attracted real occult believers, real worshippers of Satan and the devil.
Because it sounds a little too close to black magic.
It really does. As an example, the Norwegian black metal band Mayhem is maybe the most infamous. One member stabbed another. Another who was in another band, Emperor, actually killed a guy.
Ooh.
And then another member of Mayhem committed suicide using a shotgun. And the story goes that the other members took pieces of his scattered skull to each wear as a pendant.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, these guys were really
They walk the walk
about this life.
and talk the talk.
Then it reached a fever pitch in 1992 when members of the black metal scene began burning down Christian churches. By 1996, 50 churches in Norway had been burned down.
Wow, that's a lot.
And in every case that was solved by police, it was black metal fans or artists responsible.
That's intense. I didn't know that. I think the parents have a right to be angry in that situation.
Listen, you guys need to calm down. The music of Cyndi Lauper is absolutely... They burned down our church. Oh, really? That's actually kind of badass.
Yikes, yeah, that's not good.
It was not badass, but it does go to show just how you do have to give these activists, these conservatives, these Christians, in this case, you got to give them a break sometime, because in this case, this was absolutely true. Satanism was sweeping Norway.
Right.
And literally destroying the places that they would go to worship.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, you guys are crazy. It's just music. They don't actually believe any of this stuff. They burned down another church. That we have 3 churches left, and we don't have a lot of people who want to protect them.
But it is kind of like believable and I guess inevitable that me and you know, Rory, from investigating the paranormal and covering things like witchcraft. We haven't really covered like modern witchcraft that much. We've hinted upon it.
Yeah,
but there's enough people who practice the occult, practice the paranormal, research the occult. Eventually, those people are going to pick up a guitar and start shredding.
It's true. And what better way to spread the message than with sick music?
Yeah. Can we just spare a quick thought for the poor defense lawyer in Norway whose client looks like this?
Whoa! Man, that's a scary look. We're talking about Robert Pattinson's Batman. Total blackout-eyed makeup, kind of it leaking down his face like a demon in rain. That is very terrifying.
Like, imagine they call a witness lineup of people. The police are like, are you sure it was the one they call Valdorg the Defiler? You don't think it was maybe Thomas or Peter? I know you say he was wearing corpse paint, but Thomas is pretty pale too.
Yeah, Thomas the Defiler? No, just Thomas. He's not known to defile, specifically.
Pressing the little button. Thomas, have you ever defiled anything? No, I haven't. No, he hasn't, unfortunately. Oh, he shouted, "Hail Satan," as he did it. Okay, take Valdorg away. Okay, so heavy metal weirdly does seem like the one place that could be hiding real-life Satanists. But the Satanic Panic Crusaders didn't stop at just metal, because of course, the Satanic Panic wasn't just about the devil. They were worried about everything in the occult, too. Ever since Christianity appeared 2,000 years ago, it's waged a war, right, against beliefs that don't line up with the Bible by either destroying them or absorbing them. Like, take paganism in the UK and Ireland. It's easy to forget that, like, even England, London, where we're recording right now, was entirely populated with people who believed in what we would now call the paranormal.
Yeah.
That was normal.
Yeah.
They wasn't paranormal to them. And then eventually Christianity would have come along. So anything then over those next hundreds of years, next thousands of years, anything that was a bit too occult for these conservative Christians' liking kind of fell into the crosshairs. And in 1982, that became Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. This is a big one, because this was a phenomenon that kind of came out of nowhere. This tabletop-based RPG dice-rolling game that a whole generation became mildly obsessed with, swept the nation. But of course, because it's based in the fantasy world, we're talking goblins, we're talking demons, spells, witchcraft, and wizardry.
We're talking a lot of shit that Jesus didn't say anything about.
Right. Which is a bit of a red flag, I think, for some of the parents of these kids.
Rory, do you know D&D? Have you played D&D?
I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life.
Crazy.
Because I know if I did, I would become obsessed and lose who I am now. I think I would just become overwhelmed with how much I love it and become obsessed with it. So I haven't. I've tried to steer away from it.
Rory, I saw him jot down the one they call Valdorg the Defiler a second ago. He was like, that's a pretty dope name,
That'd
actually.
be a cool name. But I have a lot of friends who do it for fun, and also have a lot of friends who do it as content. That's their thing. They have Dungeons and Dragons podcasts, or they do a YouTube series and things like that. Because I worked a lot in the video games world, and Dungeons and Dragons kind of adjacent. So yeah, always wanted to try it before, but little scared that I'd love it too much.
The war against Dungeons and Dragons was led by a woman called Patricia Pulling. She was an anti-occultist campaigner. Now, Patricia had tragically lost her son to suicide, and she was convinced that it was her son's love of D&D that had corrupted his mind and led to his death, establishing a pattern that we would kind of see throughout things like the Satanic Panic. It might start with a tragedy and then a kind of race to get to the bottom of what could have caused that tragedy.
Right.
So Patricia joined other like-minded parents, and they formed what they called BADD, or B-A-D-D, Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons.
Terrible name, terrible acronym. Come up with something cooler than that. Bad.
But BADD claimed that, quote, Dungeons and Dragons is a fantasy role-playing game which uses demonology, witchcraft, voodoo, murder, rape, blasphemy, suicide, assassination, insanity, sex perversion, homosexuality, prostitution, satanic-type rituals, gambling, barbarism, cannibalism, sadism, desecration, demon summoning, necromantics, divination, and other teachings. And all I've got to say is, I think we need to start playing this game faster than you even let on before, because this shit sounds sick as hell, bro. And while the police and psychiatrists concluded what we already know today, that there is no link between crime and board games, Jesus Christ, or suicide and board games, it didn't stop this group linking Dungeons and Dragons to 28 other murders and suicides.
Right.
This is sad for a lot of reasons, but it is unfortunate that also the creators of board games were dragged into this, not just Dungeons and Dragons, but other games. Like, let's face it, a lot of games, board or video or otherwise, are based in this fantasy world.
Yeah.
And for one, Gary Gygax, or Gygax, the co-creator of Dungeons and Dragons, he was interviewed on the show 60 Minutes, and he took that opportunity to hit back, saying, "This is make-believe. To use an analogy with another game, who is bankrupted by a game of Monopoly? Nobody is. The money isn't real. There is no link here, except perhaps in the mind of those people who are looking desperately for any other cause than their own failures as a parent." Oof!
Wow.
That is, he really
That was a good comeback.
is absolutely brutal, but it feels harsh when you read it. But you do have to remember that these people are trying to ruin his livelihood and a lot of people's livelihood.
Yeah.
And not even getting into censorship.
I want to say he's not entirely right with that statement, because when I was 14 years old, I did hold my family up at gunpoint during a game of Monopoly
Yeah.
to try and get all the money from the bank. Yes, I've been playing 14 hours of Grand Theft Auto just prior to family game night, and that probably did fuel my desire for cash a little bit more than usual. And yes, the dice were not kind to me that night. Snake eyes. I'm in prison. I'm out of prison. Back in prison. Triple rent. I don't have any property. Guess what? Rory pulls the gun. My ace in the hole. Get out of jail free? How about you go to hell now, Dad? Huh? So give me all your money in your wallet, because I want
not the
it.
Monopoly shit, the real shit, by the way.
Give me that watch too, yeah.
Your mum was like, "Oh, I didn't know there was a gun piece in the Monopoly board." Your dad's like, "That's not a Monopoly piece, sweetheart."
I think he 3D printed it.
Put your hands up.
He's got a tiny plastic gun.
You know what's even hotter under the collar than having 5 stars of wanted in the GTA universe?
Yeah.
Having 5 stars of wanted in your parents' house.
Oh,
You are hiding under the bed. Your dad is like, "Where the f*** are you?"
I said, here's a little board game analogy you might understand, mother. Either I climb the financial ladder or I release a snake. How about that?
You're taking lessons about life that are even more evil than GTA could have possibly taught you. GTA is a pretty simple game. It's mostly about stealing stuff. You're the Joker, I think, in this setup. Rory is 8 minutes into a game of Monopoly. He's not even losing that badly. And he's like, for too long, the streets of Monopoly have been overrun by the rich and powerful.
Yes.
Rory, we're talking about D&D and the Satanic Panic trying to lay waste to the landscape of D&D. This was, of course, the story to season 4 of Stranger Things. A bunch of mysterious events that happen within the town that end up getting pinned on the school's D&D group.
Yeah, and that's a big thing in the show is the kids try and understand the monsters they're seeing through the world of Dungeons and Dragons. So even like the Demigorgon or whatever they call it, I think that's like a thing from Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, dope. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool reference.
We're too ignorant to D&D. Rory, we are rampaging through the 80s here in the world of the Satanic Panic. But if you felt like the Satanic Panickers were reaching already, they hadn't even begun the reaching process. We're going to talk more about what happened next after a couple of words from today's sponsors.
Yeah, just before we go to the break, just worried a little bit because, they are reaching in some situations, most situations, which means we haven't really seen anything paranormal yet today. And I'm aware we are, heading into the ad break here. So just looking out, really excited to hear the next part of the story, which I assume has some cases of genuine paranormal activity.
Right.
Like this was some kid playing Dungeons and Dragons so hard he started levitating with like lightning bolts coming out of his eyes, something like that. Or someone listened to a death metal song in reverse and it was actually an ancient alchemy spell that turned all the plants in his room to silver.
Right.
This is exciting.
Not that, but okay.
But
I'll tease you with
something.
Okay, well, don't say something because that sounds passive aggressive. But
I want to hear about someone.
Because you're suggesting nothing happened.
Right.
You're suggesting nothing has happened.
So far, yes.
No, not so far. There's been a lot of really interesting. This is crazy. This is like the history. This is the modern history of paranormal in culture trying to get shut down by the establishment.
Right. Hard to come down on a yes or a no at the end of that one, though, right?
All right. I think you're being rude, to be honest. I think a lot of our listeners will agree that you're being overly harsh for a guy who has recently hosted stories such as giants in the Grand Canyon. I think that's fair. I think we can all... I don't think that was a Gary Gygax level shutdown of Rory.
An episode so nice, I hosted it twice, I think you'll find.
Oh, they're aware. Oh, they've heard the offcuts on patreon.com. What I will say is we are going to hear from the horse's mouth from an actual...
Talking animals! Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because beasts are f***ing and talking in the second half.
They're not f***ing. I didn't say that.
You said like beasts.
I didn't say anything of the sort. What I was trying to say was
15?
we will hear...
It was one of the songs.
Yeah, that's true. That was the song by Wasp.
Yeah.
We're going to hear an interview with
a horse?
A Satanist.
Oh.
Okay. And we're going to hear straight from the
horse's mouth.
The community of Satanists.
Talking beasts.
Please roll the ads, for the love of Christ.
This is crazy.
Ooh, is it hot in here? We are back. Crazy. Oh, hachi machi.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. Rory, I know you want a lot of hard-hitting paranormal evidence.
Yeah.
A lot of you.
Well, we heard something about a talking horse in the second half as well.
Sure. But before that, the next person they went after was a professional skateboarder.
Oh, okay. Professional horse skateboarder
but this
or human?
Skateboarder,
okay.
Naras Kaupas. What was he guilty of? Being a little too good at skateboarding.
Not a crime. If that's a crime, lock me up, officer.
All right, well, I think agreed to disagree on that one. He almost single-handedly, to be fair, invented modern street skating. He was the first person to skate a handrail and the first person to invent a lot of cool flip tricks. So his boards were flying off the shelves. But unfortunately for him...
Telepathy. I hear you, brother.
Unfortunately for him, they had disturbing psychedelic art all over them that made the parents suspicious, but not, they maybe didn't know enough about skateboarding to come down either way on whether this guy was a problem. Until one parent realized that this guy's name was Naras. What's Naras backwards, Rory? Satan. Game over.
All right.
His boards, his merch, his videos, products were all banned from a number of schools and shops around the country.
That's crazy.
When in reality, Natas's only crime was being Lithuanian, because Natas is the male version of Natalia.
Oh, I see. That is unfortunate, to say the least. Having your skateboarding career completely shut down just because your name is Satan backwards.
So Rory, you're realizing at this moment in time, all we are hearing about is the continued persecution of Satanists. Satanists which, to be fair, at this moment in time, I don't know if I'm for them or against them, because we haven't really heard from them at this point. All we've heard is about all their, frankly, dope media, whether it be music, books, games, whatever, getting shut down by people who are very worried about it. But finally, the Satanists said, enough is enough. And one of them went on a TV late-night talk show to set the record straight.
Oh, this isn't going to go well. I can tell.
How real is devil worship? Well, that's what my next guests will inform us. First, we have Dark Lord Blood. He's a 7th-generation Satanist.
Oh, my God.
Satanic worship goes back to his great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. He grew up
Where did he
with
get those
this.
shades?
He's wearing
I mean,
wraparound
you've seen
sunglasses
these
and he's got his hood up
rituals. What is it?
indoors.
Well, it's a ritual of they may want to give something in a sacrificial sense to a demon, such as to mimic the biblical sacrifice of Abraham.
Do Satanists look different? I mean, are all your friends Satanists?
No, I don't have any friends, but my acquaintances are, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I have here something, for instance, which is not really good for kids to see. I don't know if you could see it.
Sure.
But what it essentially depicts is the devil whipping a priest.
They've got, like, I guess, a religious man of some description, and he's like, well, here's what you need to take a look and see. And he pulls out a Ronnie James Dio vinyl.
Right.
And he's like, this isn't good for kids to see. This seems to have, I guess, the devil or a demon.
To be fair, the picture is insane. Because they're literally talking to the Satanists, and then they turn to the religious guy, and they're like, what do you think about all of this? And he's like, what do I think? Look at this. And he just holds a picture of a 50-foot demon standing on a mountaintop, whipping a priest with a chain. It's like, that's not really a counterpoint. But I reckon the audience are going to be like, he has got a point. Look at that. Wow.
It's one of those great debates where it's like the religious guy doesn't know where to begin. They're like, well, what do you say to him? It's like, what?
What's his name?
Dark
Lord Blood?
I will say, I don't know what I expected a Satanist to look like.
Not that.
He looks like your default starting character in RuneScape. He's got kind of basic boots, basic tunic, basic hood.
Yeah, that's a strange look. He seems like the kind of guy that would go out to speak on behalf of all Satanists, and all Satanists don't want him to do it. They're probably like, we don't claim this one.
What about playing lyrics backwards? Have
Well, there are messages hidden in lyrics and things like that, of that nature, sure. But, the real thing, I think, is in the actual lyrics being played forward.
Great
well,
quote.
there you go.
It's like, if you want to hear about Satan, you could just listen to the song as is. We have a lot of songs about Satan. You don't need to reverse our shit.
Yeah, it's like, are there messages about the Dark Lord in the lyrics backwards? My brother and Satan, play it forwards. They're not hidden. That's why we like the songs.
He wrote to Jimmy Breslin, hello from the gutters of New York City, which are filled with dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood. These were direct references to the satanic black mass at which dog manure, vomit, stale wine, urine, and blood are used in a desecration of the Catholic Mass.
And this kind of knife is being sold for that reason. There is something called an
But
emptium.
it's also being sold for healthy reasons.
Man, what's healthy about selling a knife that's a bit...
What is happening now?
And he's growling, so, I mean, people who growl kind of, I think one should be concerned about people that growl. I just want you to know your growling doesn't frighten me at all.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad I wasn't attempting to.
Thank you for being here. I'm Nola Roper, and this is the best talk in town. Ooh.
That's an underrated comeback, I think. Whenever you're losing an argument, is just to kind of growl at the other person.
Yeah, because they asked him a question. He's like, what good can come from selling a child a knife?
He really had his back against the corner. That one. He's like, interior monologue. Oh, he's got me there. Yeah, that actually really is really bad. All right, gotta think of something. Could mention my name again, Dark Lord Blood? No. Wait, how much time has passed? Is everyone looking at me? Shit, say something. Say anything. Can't think of any words. Could growl. Definitely should growl. Some real, like, internal peep show head dialogue going on there.
Everyone's like, did you just growl? I'm going to head out. What do you think, Rory? Do you think Dark Lord Blood kind of really won you over to the Satanist side?
No.
Oh.
No, he didn't. This individual it's tough. Hey, we're members of the Paranormal Society.
Yeah.
Secret and public, we're the ones out there hunting for Bigfoot, hunting for aliens and cryptids and ghosts. And we want to spread that message and make this a cool thing that people should be excited about. But every now and again, there's an interview on TV with a professional paranormal investigator, and it sets us back 15 years.
As a community.
As a community and as a movement. And you're like, I really wish they didn't pick this person to go out and speak for us, because it's done nothing but make us look insane. But that's kind of the point, is obviously a lot of these talk shows, they want the crazy
they want the
people
nut job. Yeah.
to come out and create controversy. They want Dark Moon Blood.
Dark Lord Blood probably turned up to the studio that day in Levi jeans and a t-shirt, and they were like, nah,
Yeah.
you're going to be wearing this.
There was probably
buddy.
some other guy called Dave who's
Yeah.
just like, hey, I'm actually the head of the Satanist church here locally. I think we get a bad rap. So we'd love to come on your show and just talk about the community and what we're doing and what we believe in. And then they're like, that's cool. Our other option is Dark Moon Blood. And he said that he will eat one of the children in the audience live on television.
Yeah.
So we're going to get him on.
Yeah, when we interviewed him over the phone, he just started growling. So we thought, we've got our man.
So we're going to get him in here, give him 15 Red Bulls in the green room before we go live. And I think we're fine.
Gonna spike his coffee. It is actually a really good point, because, I mean, I'm being funny by like playing this great clip. Of course, the Satanist church actually has much better spokespeople than this. The most famous church is, of course, LaVeyan Satanism. We talked about it a little bit when we actually toured America and we performed in San Francisco, because that was the original home of the LaVeyan Satanist Church was in San Francisco. But those guys do a pretty good job at popularizing Satanism, and they've always presented pretty well in media, TV, interviews, because they kind of portray this image of look, we don't want people to suffer and be in pain. We believe in actually just living to your truest potential as a human and believing in what you want to do and living the most pure life you can.
Right.
And actually, if you come to a Satanist meeting, you'll figure out we're all pretty nice, and we actually bake cookies for each other every meeting, and we actually do charity work, believe it or not. Those people are out there. You can go talk to them. But this is more what people were scared of during the peak of the Satanic Panic. And this was the type of stuff TV producers were putting on the air, knowing it would drive people into a froth.
Yeah, I definitely struggle sometimes with Satanism. Maybe I need to be educated on it, because I definitely try and come at it with an open mind. Don't like to judge anyone or their beliefs. But yes, I'm the same as you. I've seen, I've been to places. I mean, when we were on tour, I went to Salem around Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
And you can visit all these amazing shops and amazing communities filled with Satanists and devil worshippers. And they have shrines dedicated to different demons and all this kind of stuff. And it's the same rhetoric where it's like, hey, I think you'll find that we believe in it, sure, but we use it to spread a message of love and peace. And it's like, well, then I don't know if you read the books. I don't know if you understand what it is then, because the thing does it's known for doing some pretty bad shit. It's like, I think you could maybe just remove the demon from what your message, and it would still be arguably healthier.
Rory's holding up a cross as he says this. You guys just need to read the book.
They're hissing at me. I'm pinned with my back to a corner. I just think that the power of Christ compels thee. I really do.
Yeah, I'll He compels thee. He does. Get on your knees.
Yeah, I think it's just I'm obviously I need a bit of an education around that kind of around that topic. But yeah, it is kind of a funny thing where it's like, hey, we love, we spread peace and love and building a community. And to do that, we all gather and bow down to the one that
Drink blood.
yeah, that skins humans alive. And it's like, ooh, all right, well, see, that last bit didn't sound too good. The last bit seems weird. Can we just remove the last bit? We could take religion out of the whole thing if we want. And this is just like a cool community of people helping each other.
Right, it kind of reminds you of when like oil companies in 2024 are like, it's like, hey, over here at Shell, we want to save the planet. We want to save the planet. We make all our money off the planet. Am I right, guys? That's just a little joke. But seriously, we need to open up a lot of new drilling locations to get oil.
Right.
It's like, okay, but right, you can say one thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. Because if their problem is like they're anti-church or anti-religion, and that's why, they're like burning churches and that sort of thing, you could be anti-religion but not have your answer still be based in the world of religion.
Yeah.
If you're like anti-God, you don't have to be pro-devil. You can just be an atheist.
Yeah, I think we're out of our depth talking about it, but I do think there's a certain amount of like trolling. Not trolling, but like irony at play where I feel like I've heard Satanists say things like, it's like, no, we use this imagery to show like what's hypocritical about the, there's this kind of...
There's probably, look, here I go, spouting off probably all the misconceptions that are in this world surrounding Satanists.
Right, we got Satanists just screaming at their iPods right now. Shut the f*** up.
I'm part of the problem. I'm the little Christian raised white boy.
You've got a zombie on your t-shirt, sir. We should be locking you in a cage.
Yeah, there's a skull on my shirt today. That is
giant...
just a convenient little accident. But, I've since we've been doing this podcast, we've come to this point before where we've talked about, for example, witches, people who practice witchcraft. And we've had people write into the podcast and be like, hey, I love the podcast. I'm a practicing witch. Let me tell you a little bit about witchcraft and the
Rory
misconceptions.
hits him with the auto-respond off.
I said, open the attachment. It's a vial of holy water. It's called holywater.jpg. So I'm sure there's some Satanists. There's got to be Satanists that listen to this podcast.
Defos.
Who would love to enlighten us.
I would say so. Rory, you might have noticed at this point, literally nothing is safe from the Satanic Panic. And it did continue well into our childhood of the 90s and 2000s. Yes, that's right. Even Pokemon has been accused of satanic ties.
Come on now.
You might be wondering where on earth they're making that connection. Let's just find out. Right from, you guessed it, the horse's mouth. From a preacher giving a presentation. Here's an incredible video of a preacher giving a presentation about Pokemon.
Remember I said that they get their energy through energy balls. And here is a picture of cute little Pikachu, and he's being energized by an energy ball. And now you notice he's not quite so cute anymore, and his little satanic tail is really erect.
Don't say erect. The word erect is one of the few words that should be banned from any religious sermon on this planet.
Pokemon or otherwise.
Yeah. Don't
His
say
little
erect.
satanic tail is fully erect.
He's got enough energy from his balls. Good Lord.
Yes.
Good Lord.
And one of the things you can do is go out and buy the official Pokemon trading card game Player's Guide. And you can get this at any store that sells any of the Pokemon stuff.
Why does this guy look like
anything.
Danny McBride?
He's got the greatest mullet of all time. And one of the top
A preacher with a mullet should already be a red flag.
one of the top comments is, this guy looks like a professional collector of Pokemon cards.
He looks like he rode a dirt bike to church this morning.
And it says on the back of this, catch them all, then build an unbeatable tournament deck. And one of the things you can do is look through here because it shows every Pokemon in existence, and it tells you what their powers are, and it tells you how they get
Is he
weak,
selling this?
and it tells you how they energize and what you need to energize them. But something very unusual is also in this book, and that is that they actually show the energy balls that is used to make these monsters bigger and better. I want you to see them. I'm going to hold it out here so hopefully you can see
He's
it.
talking about energy cards.
Look at the yellow.
Yeah, he's not. I was like, is he talking about Pokeballs? He's not. He's talking about the card game.
The energy cards.
And there's energy cards where, yes, it's a circle where if you have a Bulbasaur, one of the green ones, you use the green energy cards. So that's what he's referring to here. I was very confused.
I think what you're not understanding, Rory, is that they get the energy from the balls in order to make their tail erect.
Look at the yellow. What do you see?
It's a lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Look here. All-seeing eye.
You pointed to the psychic one, and yeah there's an eye.
He got their ass, I guess. It is an all-seeing eye.
Up here is the clenched fist, symbol for rebellion, anarchy.
That's strength-based, I think.
Right down here is a powerful witchcraft symbol where my finger is.
It's fire.
Powerful witchcraft symbol, and it's the symbol for fire.
It's just fire for a Charizard.
Down here is another powerful witchcraft symbol.
Leaf.
Actually, a New Age symbol. They call a New Age symbol for Earth.
It's just a leaf.
It's a leaf.
A leaf.
Okay, which is a green leaf. And down at the bottom here, this blue ball down in here is the symbol for energy of water. And water transforms into wind. Earth, wind, and fire, the three basic elements of all witchcraft. And I'm going to ask you, parents, grandparents, concerned aunt and uncles, friends, do you think they put that in there by coincidence?
Oh, there's no
Do you
help
think
in
they
these
just
people.
built this game, put these on there, and said, hey, let's just put those symbols on there. They look cool. Kids won't know what they are, but they'll like them because they look cool. Or did they put them on there because they know what the meaning of each one of those symbols is? And they want to desensitize our children to seeing those symbols so much that when they see them in other things, hey, no big deal.
You must know it's option one. You must know why you're saying that question that it's option one already. It's crazy.
Is it possible they just think it looks cool? Yeah. No.
Yes, it's that. That is clearly the option. That's clearly what it is.
There is a devised plan going on for the battle of our children's minds. There's a war going on right now for the children because Satan wants them really bad. Who better to serve the Antichrist than the youth? And the whole object is to catch them while they're young. Remember the the Pokemon motto? Gotta catch them all.
You're talking about kids? He's talking about kids.
Satan's gonna catch them all. He's gonna catch all the kids.
Satan's little devil tail is rock hard.
This guy is cooking.
Wow.
Wow. Let's call that what it is. Let's call this bit what it is. Look, being scared of Pokemon and all of these kinds of things, that is specifically like a religious xenophobia, right? The people who are scared of trends just because they come from Asia or the Caribbean or Africa and immediately claiming that they're satanic.
Yeah, or it's just old people, and it's something new and weird and confusing and scary, and they don't like it, and kids like it, so they think it's wild. You could see this with anything. I remember seeing years and years ago the viral video of some woman at a Christian conference ranting, holding a can of Monster Energy drink, breaking down the logo and explaining.
I forgot I have that video too.
Do you have it? It's incredible, but literally, it's baffling to see how far these people are reaching. It's genuinely quite sad because if they're drawing these conclusions from something that is so clearly not there, part of you knows that you've lost them. There's nothing you could say to bring them back to earth. They're too far.
Look at your M closely. There's a gap right here in the letter M. It's never connected. So you go into Hebrew.
Okay.
The letter Vav is also the number 6.
Oh, the letter Vav.
Short top, long tail. Short top, long tail.
Oh
you
my
could have
Lord.
She's reading Hebrew.
666 on the can. But my interest is the word monster. What do you see in the O?
There's a line through the O.
There's a cross.
It's not really a
What
cross.
has Christ got to do with an energy drink, let alone the name
It's
Monster?
a line. It's a line
So I
to
thought,
this,
well,
not a
maybe
cross.
this is a Christian company then. BFC at the bottom of the can. Do you know what that stands for? That's the F word. Big can. In fact, they write it on the side of the can, so I know that's the F word.
Okay.
Now, do you know what a MILF is? MILFs dig it, and you will too.
You know your boy was sweating when she asked that question. You know he was sweating.
She gives
Sir, do you know what a MILF is? I mean, I need you to say it first. Are we doing this?
spoken clearly as a mother as well is a dangerous question. It's like, and do you know what it is? I do now, sweetheart. I do now. How about you put those cans down? Let's go get coffee.
It's the best question you could be asked by a middle-aged woman.
It's also like the range of accusations is so large. It's like it literally says 666. This is the product of the devil. Also, this just is the F word. It's like, okay, is that bad? Is that so bad?
I mean, we've paused it right now. Where could she possibly be going with that? What?
Well, she just pointed to it. Apparently it says MILFs love it on a box of Monster Energy drink. I gotta be honest, I know this is a running joke, but I really wasn't a fan of Monster until this video.
Wow, that's incredible. I really, as a guy who drinks a lot of Monster Energy drink, I do really need a shirt now that has just the Monster logo on the front and MILFs love it on the back. That would be great. or in those shirts that are like 2 arrows. So like Monster pointing up to my mouth and then MILFs love it pointing down to my mouth.
Christ.
All right, I gotta hear this.
So why would they have put a cross on the can? Here is the message. Antichrist. 666 in Hebrew. And then the Bible talks about the beast in Revelation. And look at
She has so many printouts and posters and little informative sheets.
She's pointing out that their catchphrase is "Unleash the Beast."
Right.
And she's claiming that is the beast of 666 from the Bible.
You see these M's everywhere. Hats, t-shirts, bumper stickers. Is there another agenda here? If God can use people and product, so can Satan. And look at it this way. Even if the M was not the issue, you cannot deny that is a cross. And what is witchcraft? When the cross goes upside down.
I will agree, in her hands, that is a big can.
Yeah, that really is.
It's a giant can.
Bottoms up. And the devil laughs.
Bottoms up and the devil laughs.
So the implication here is the cross is the right way on the can, which is a problem because when you chug
drink it,
it goes upside down.
Oh shit!
Bottoms up, the devil laughs.
Right,
that's crazy. But it's the right way on the can.
To be clear.
So if I read the Bible in my bed and I'm holding the book up, it's the devil's book. I don't understand necessarily.
Something to think about.
Something to think about.
People like that love finishing a crazy rant with something to think about.
I love it.
Something
to think about.
It's
you
like,
know what a MILF is? Something to think about.
It's not just something to think about. You've got to stand at a conference with multiple props, pieces of paraphernalia, literature on the topic. It's not just something to think about, lady. That you've made this your life. All right, everyone. Well, stay safe. Stay safe. And Roy, I think you better start rethinking your white monster addiction.
Man, I'm just actually devastated that Monster beat us to that slogan. This whole time we could have had our show slogan be This Paranormal Life, MILFs love it.
It's actually impressive that Monster has got to like being $1 billion corporation and no guy in a suit ever made them take that out.
Is it really there? I mean, it must be gone. I think we have a can in the fridge. Hold up, we do have a can in the fridge.
Monster energy drink.
It's most definitely gone now because I think they got bought by Coca-Cola, so they've probably had to clean up their act a little bit.
This is the most incredible Mandela effect, by the way, because someone put up a Reddit post a year ago saying, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but Monster Energy cans have a poem of sorts on the back. It says athletes, musicians, anarchists, co-eds, road warriors, metalheads, geeks, hipsters, and bikers dig it, and you will too. But I clearly remember MILFs being part of the list. Does anyone have a can with MILF still printed on it?
Whoa, that's going to be like a rare Pokemon card. Having an original Monster MILF can? There's a string of words I never thought I'd say back to back. I mean, I'm always trying to get my hands on some MILF cans. But
Yo, look.
they exist!
It exists.
Oh my God!
But someone pointed out, it said that was 9 years ago.
Wow.
So the guys in suits did make them take it off.
That's crazy. I mean, hey, look, I actually do have a can of Monster Energy drink right here. We do have the little 666 monster sign. As she said, the
Hebrew
M isn't
numbers.
connected, the Hebrew. Hey, take a look at that circle, brother. That is a cross. They flattened the top of that thing.
Yeah, I will give it to you. It is a cross.
It's not just a line through it. I mean, it's just
Hey.
the style of the font, but...
Bottoms up and the devil laughs, Rory. Bottoms up and the devil laughs.
And it does say, at the end of kind of all the ingredients and everything, Monster, unleash the salty beast.
What?
This one is nautical themed.
Right, that's the Pacific Punch
It's Pacific
flavor.
Punch.
We are not sponsored, by the way.
No, I
Clearly,
wish we were. Monster.
I wouldn't be.
Get in touch.
Horrendous.
Dilfs love it.
Terrible. You're not a dad. I can say that. Rory, like I said, nothing is safe. Not Pokemon, not Monster Energy, not Ozzy Osbourne, not Judas Priest, not Dungeons and Dragons. Nothing is safe from the tar and feathering that would come from the Satanic Panic Crusaders over the years. So we've talked a lot about, I guess, everyone who's been accused in all of this hubbub and how it continues from the 70s pretty much right through to today. That was a worryingly recent video of that woman at that conference talking about Monster.
Yeah.
The question is, at the end of every episode of This Paranormal Life, we have to decide whether our case is paranormal or not. So I think the question today would be that, do we agree with that woman or the people who are worried here? Do we actually believe that there's something to be panicked about? Do we actually believe that there are people in entertainment doing paranormal occult worship and putting it into media?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't. I think that's a dangerous road to go down. I think, we said it before, these people are scared of new things, especially things that children become very interested in, especially things that are a bit edgy. And, you know, a lot of parents fall down a bit of a slippery slope, especially with conspiracy theories and things like that. You know, we're talking about this happening with movies and TV shows. We didn't even talk about video games. Games like Mortal Kombat when it first came out. And we're talking about the most pixelated game of all time with little 8-bit blood splurts coming out.
Sure.
And people saying that video game is going to desensitize people towards violence. And kids in the future will just be ripping each other's heads off because they saw it in a video game. It's all nonsense. None of it's true. Scientifically, it's been proven that there's no correlation between it. But we still see it to this day, not just with Monster. If you hunted, there's probably parents saying vaping is creating the devil's smoke in your mouth, that Fortnite is creating a fake heaven on earth where you can play as any character, including demons. You know, they'll always find something to be upset about. And whether or not I think there's any real threat there with any of this stuff, I really don't believe there is.
Came close with that black metal shit, though.
Yeah.
Like that was,
well,
I mean, that's the kind of twist in this, right?
Well, this is the only thing that you should talk about is there is a level of it that you should be worried about. It's not paranormal or mystical or necessarily satanic, but just be a good parent. If your kid is 11 years old, make sure they don't watch and consume stuff for an adult. You know, keep an eye on what they're watching. Make sure it's healthy. Talk to them. Have a conversation. If they're into death metal, listen to some of the songs. Understand why they're into it. Make sure it's for the right reasons. If they're feeling sad, talk to them about that. Have a conversation about it. Don't completely shut them off or rip them away from it. Because, you know, we were all teenagers once. That's going to make you want to do it even more. So, yeah, I think obviously, like dark, spooky stuff, like satanic cults, like drugs, there are things that as a parent you need to be cautious of. but whether or not secret witches and wizards are hiding spells inside of songs so that the devil can steal the souls of children, nah. And you're gonna have to grab that kind of monster from my cold dead hands. I'm telling you right now.
It's not gonna be cold down in hell, brother. I guess Rory's coming down on a...
It's a no from me this week.
I think that makes it a double no.
Yeah.
We do not believe that there is real... I believe that there is, as they say, in the case of stuff like black metal, that's really cool and interesting. And I've recommended that movie before. There's a movie about that band Mayhem called All This Mayhem, I think. Fantastic, funny movie about that band and a really unbelievable history. That comes so close because those people ostensibly did worship the devil.
Yeah.
And they did really, on some level, believe all this stuff. And they did carry out heinous acts, which are basically everything the Christians were worried about. But it wasn't really paranormal.
No, it's just bad people doing bad things.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So it's a double no today, but thank you so much, Casey, for a fantastic suggestion of covering the Satanic Panic.
Great idea.
Covering anything to do with this. It actually, if you like that kind of, I guess, dive back through pop culture, it reminded me, mentioning Stranger Things, of one we did, a lot of years ago, which was kind of the truth behind Stranger Things.
That's right.
The real story of kind of MK Ultra and all that. So I don't know. Check that out if you're so interested in the world of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Rory, if you can't get enough This Paranormal Life, head on over to patreon.com/This Paranormal Life, where we have been polluting the minds of children for 7 years. That's right.
That's why we're
feeding.
That's why we're so defensive. If you didn't get it at the end of this, it's like, do you think even podcasts could be polluting the minds of children? Well, let's not say anything.
Let's not go crazy.
Crazy. Do you know what a MILF is, sir? Do you know what a MILF is?
So hard to keep eye contact when someone asks you that. That's right. We have been polluting the minds of children for years and years and years. And
True.
And if they were children to begin with, they're grown adults now. And we do that by giving them just a little, this is getting to be a dark analogy, like a drug dealer. We get them hooked.
No, I'm actually
on a
backing
bonus
out of this.
episode.
No.
And then they can't live without it.
No,
and
no,
they're
no.
hooked on Patreon.
No, we like to just record fun shows to educate people about the world of the paranormal. That's what we like to do.
MILFs love it. They love the
This
Patreon.
Paranormal Life, MILFs love it. Can we at least for a week change our branding to that and see if anyone notices? Worrying that it'll be around the time of the British Podcast Awards.
Yeah, it's a bit dangerous. It's a dangerous play.
I'm barely joking about how much I want to make it This Paranormal Life t-shirt now.
You can't do it.
It says This Paranormal Life,
You
MILFs
can't
love it.
do it. You're
Can I
gonna
make
have to
it
do it when I'm not looking.
Can I make a one of one?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
I'm going to make more.
1 of
When Kit's
1,000.
not listening, I just want you to know I'm going to make more.
So if you want to get your hands on
'Cause
a
it works for
rare This Paranormal
everyone.
Life MILFs Love It t-shirt,
Yeah, it works for everyone because, you either also love the podcast and love MILFs, or maybe you're a MILF yourself. And you're like, I do love it. It's a shirt for everyone.
yeah, there's a reason they took it off the can of Monster. I'll say that.
Because they got bought by the man, got bought by Coca-Cola. We don't have to do anything. We can put whatever we want on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to stop you.
Yeah.
That's patreon.com/This Paranormal Life, where you can get all kinds of cool rewards. But namely, I was kind of bullshitting before, but there is an untold number of bonus episodes, behind the scenes after parties, just hundreds and hundreds of episodes of This Paranormal Life, all ad free.
Hell yeah.
And at the end of every episode, we'd like to give a shout out to those who've supported us on that tier of Patreon. So let's round out with that.
Let's do it.
So special thank you to Olivia G. Olivia the G. You don't meet too many gangsters called Olivia.
Wow.
You know how f***ing hard as nails you have to be as a gangster to be called Olivia?
Right. Because sometimes, originally you got to be called like Billy the Fist or
Yeah.
something crazy like that. So if your name is just Olivia, my God, what kind of messed up stuff are you doing?
That's what I'm saying, you see.
Woo. All right, Olivia, I'm glad you're on our side.
Thanks also to Samuel Allison. Well, if it isn't Satanic Samuel, you didn't think you'd slip through our net, did you, Samuel, with an M in the middle of your name?
Oh my God. We see
You must
it.
think we're real f***ing idiots, don't you?
Alison, as in the son of the Lord who died? Oh my gosh. We knew it all along. I bet you get your energy from your balls, don't you?
I bet you're fully erect right now, Samuel.
Sick bastard.
Thank you for your support. Anyway, you sick Okay, and thank you lastly today, but not leastly, to Janine Goots. Janine's got the goots. If you got the money, she's got the goots.
What are the goots?
Whatever you want. Whatever you can think of.
Oh, so like food? I don't know.
Listen, hey, anybody could get you food, pal. So
what are
we're
goots?
We're talking the goods, the goods.
Oh, the goods. Okay.
She's got the goods.
She's got the goods. All right, whatever I want.
We're talking under the table, back alley, fell off the back of a truck type shit.
All right, it sounds really bad. Yeah. It fell off a truck?
No, it's a turn of phrase. All right, you got to be street smart, like Olivia. I mean, we're talking like a 60, 70, 80-inch TV for pennies on the dollar.
That's so cheap. Oh my God.
Well,
okay.
not literally. I mean, we're talking.
So it's still
£400. Does that sound fair?
That's really expensive for a TV that fell off a truck.
70. It didn't literally.
Oh.
Fall off a truck. If you know what I'm saying.
Fell off a truck. Wink, wink.
Janine killed the guy and stole his TV.
I don't want the TV then.
It's got a little blood. It's fine. It's got a little blood. It's got a little blood. Thank you, Janine. Thank you to everyone who supported us this week.
They're stolen goods.
They're
stolen goods.
We'll be back with more shoutouts next week. Thank you for listening to this episode all about the Satanic Panic. We'll be back on Friday with the after party, and on Tuesday again with a brand new Paranormal Tale. Sorry, Phil.
No!
One viewer said after watching.
Shit.